Daughter to a Filipina OFW and an Italian father who immigrated to Canada in the mid-60s. I had the extreme privilege of being born, raised, and educated in Treaty Number 1 territory, the birthplace of the Métis Nation, or Winnipeg, Manitoba. I have also had the privilege of living in the Philippines for a total of 14 and a half years, where I learned a deeper understanding of the words courage, community, and resilience. It is with a very grateful heart that I am here as your event host this morning and have the opportunity to celebrate the launch of this important partnership between the Forest Foundation Philippines and the Government of Canada. To officially begin, I'd like to acknowledge our esteemed guests, starting with Ms. Edwina Garchitorena, Chair of the Board of Trustees of the Forest Foundation. We also have Honorable David Hartman, Ambassador of Canada to the Republic of the Philippines. And her Honorable Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga, who is the Secretary of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of our institutional and implementing partners. Department of Environment and Natural Resources, DENR Climate Change Service, BAI Inc., International Union of Conservation of Nature, the University of Guelph, UPLB Interdisciplinary Study Center for Integrated Natural Resources and Environment Management, Batanes Environment Keeper Society, who is with us virtually, Calamianes Resilience Network, Institute of Social Order, Philippines Biodiversity Conservation Foundation, Inc., and the Philippine Eagle Foundation. Welcome and good morning once again. We are currently live streaming on the official Facebook page of the Forest Foundation Philippines, so if you can, please encourage your friends, colleagues to tune in to the live stream. And at this time, it is my pleasure to welcome the Chair of the Board of Trustees of the Forest Foundation. She collaborates with NGOs to promote science-driven coastal resource management and conservation efforts, emphasizing stakeholder engagement. Her focus is on enhancing marine and coastal governance in the Philippines through science-based policies and local participation. Join me in a round of applause for Ms. Edwina Garchitorena for her welcome remarks.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks, Nancy, for that wonderful welcome. And good morning, everyone. Of course, Tony, our co-board member, Ambassador Hartman, Mr. John Locke, who's been instrumental in forming this partnership, Attorney Ongi, who leads the foundation, also Dennis of Philippine Eagle Foundation, who is also a co-board member on the Forest Foundation. And thank you as well to our partners, our institutional partners for being here today, and welcome to all our partners in development and conservation. I'm so happy and grateful to be here this morning to open or to launch this wonderful and we hope very impactful program. Let me just, before I forget, also welcome to Chancellor Camacho and Vice Chancellor Bantayan as well. Yes, you're both here. May I have your patience just for a few minutes so that I can put a little sparkle on the Forest Foundation and what we do. So the Forest Foundation was incorporated in 2002, and we received our first grant under the Tropical Forest Conservation Act in the US, and it is a debt for nature swap. It's formed out of a debt for nature swap. So the Philippine government and U.S. government decided that in servicing a Philippine debt to the U.S., we would put the money into the foundation and fund communities and ecosystems for conservation efforts. It started with upland forests, and in 2015 expanded to landscape level and science-focused efforts. So we provide grants to both communities and scientists to conserve nature, to improve and rehabilitate the deforested areas, and now we're actually also working in coastal areas as well. So give me, I'm asking for a little bit of patience. We improved the management of over 1 million hectares of forest lands thanks to our amazing staff at the Forest Foundation. We have, and our partners as well. And that our activities that we have funded included patrolling, developing protected area management plans with and local governments. And we've really touched the lives of hundreds of communities across the country. So moving from small grants to a landscape approach, I think has helped to increase the sustainability of the effort by looking at, by returning again and again to key partners and key geographies. So under this board, in partnership with Tony and Dennis, we have pivoted, not entirely away from what we're doing, but to include and to deepen our work in ecosystem services, conservation for ecosystem services. So we're looking at security, water conservation, water provision, and basically community resilience. And we all know, of course, that a high biodiversity ecosystem is a much more resilient and productive one. So we are, as always, focusing on biodiversity, but with communities at the heart of what we do. We hope that in our work in the foundation, we're able to uplift and support communities in decision making for the resources, around the resources that they themselves use. The idea is to bring science to communities for much better decision making and for sort of future proofing and longevity, including against or in response to climate change and other ecosystem requirements. So, long story short, this deepening of our approach towards ecosystem services has allowed us to partner with Canada in this, I'm going to say it right, PCP4NBS program, which really brings us to the nexus of climate, biodiversity, and community. And we are hoping that these nature-based solutions that we support across the Philippines will, again, increase the resilience of people, increase the resilience of ecosystems, and really help us in terms of climate, security, water, and other ecosystem services. Again, I'm very, very grateful to be able to stand here in front of you and launch this project, this program, and I'm very, very grateful to the Canada government and to the Forest Foundation for really making this happen. So yes, welcome everyone, and I hope you enjoy this morning's event. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Sabrina. All right. Next, prior to his current role, he was the former Director General of the South Asia Bureau of Global Affairs Canada and oversaw Canada's relations with 7 countries. He began his career as a special assistant to a member of Parliament in Canada's House of Commons before joining the Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade in 1998. Let's welcome the Ambassador of Canada to the Philippines, Honorable David Hartman.
Thank you, Nick. So magandang umaga po, bonjour, good morning everyone. First off, Secretary Yulo Lazaga, Chairperson Garcia, partners from civil society, government, the private sector, academe, media, and those joining us today online. A few months ago, Canada's Minister of International Development, the Honorable Ahmed Hussein, visited Manila, marking the commencement of the 75th anniversary year of bilateral relations between Canada and the Philippines. In meeting with Secretary Lizaga and with the Forest Foundation Philippines, Minister Hussein shared Canada's commitment to increase our support for the Philippines' efforts to combat climate change. This effort is part of Canada's enhanced, sustained engagement in the region under its Indo-Pacific strategy, with ASEAN and the Philippines at the very forefront of our national strategy. In recent years, Canada has felt the full force of climate change, with record wildfires engulfing communities and darkening skies of major urban centers, as we unfortunately witnessed last summer. Our coastal communities are experiencing more destructive storms, and episodes of flooding and drought across our country are causing more damage than before, impacting and endangering both lives and livelihood. As a result, to be pointedly clear, Canadians understand the urgent imperative to do all that we can to combat climate change. And this includes working with other partner countries like the Philippines, whose exposure and vulnerability to climate change are amongst the highest, if not the highest, in the world. Throughout my first year in the Philippines, I experienced the worsening impacts of climate change. For example, in May of last year, Super Typhoon Betty was one of the strongest Northern Hemisphere tropical cyclones ever recorded. And in the past week, many areas of the Philippines have experienced their hottest ever recorded day in history, part of the severe drought conditions that have led to 4.3 billion pesos in agricultural losses to date experienced across the country. Needless to say, all countries, all governments, and all civil society organizations, and indeed, all citizens need to use the tools at our disposal to adapt to climate change. And one of these tools is to leverage our nature, our allies, nature. Nature-based solutions means utilizing nature, for example, protecting, managing, restoring ecosystems to achieve human and biodiversity benefits. That is why, together with Secretary Lizaga and Chairperson Garcia, I am excited today to launch the Philippines-Canada Partnership for Nature-Based Solutions for Climate Adaptation. Canada has made an $8 million, or approximately 332 million peso commitment over 5 years to support this pioneering initiative. I am proud to say that we did our homework on who to work with. We wanted an organization with strong links to local champions, leaders, and communities, including women and Indigenous communities. We wanted an organization with a track record of supporting community-based organizations with financing and know-how, and an interest in addressing the gender dimensions of climate adaptation. And we wanted an organization that was committed to working with national, regional, and local governments in support of mutual climate adaptation priorities. So as a result, we are tremendously thrilled to be working with the Forest Foundation Philippines as our partner in chief. I am confident that our partnership in championing nature-based solutions designed by and for local communities will make a lasting contribution to the health of ecosystems and livelihoods of high biodiversity in the Philippines. We see a close alignment with the Government of Canada's climate action priorities, the priorities of DENR, and the Forest Foundation Philippines' vision to expand our work together to conserve, protect, restore, and sustainably manage for people and ecosystems from ridge to reef, especially in remote and vulnerable areas. Through this project, we will support a climate adaptation approach that puts gender equality front and center to ensure that women and girls who are disproportionately affected by climate change and biodiversity loss are more empowered to minimize negative impacts and to help ensure that they benefit from meaningful support. In this vein, we are pleased that the Forest Foundation Philippines is partnering with BAI, women's rights organization, that our embassy knows well through recent partnership in support of women leaders here in the Philippines. The project will also provide an opportunity to leverage Canadian world-class expertise, with the University of Guelph working to build local capacity through planned exchange programs and learning sessions on nature-based solutions, climate adaptation, and gender equality. So to be precise, ladies and gentlemen, this is indeed a project of many partnerships, and the Embassy of Canada is so very, very proud to be one of your partners. Today, we firmly believe represents a true win for nature, communities, and partnerships. It is fitting, therefore, that we are taking a moment to celebrate before the hard and exciting work ahead of us. I offer my sincere congratulations to everyone involved in this project, from design, validation, to implementation, for your shared commitment to develop and scale up nature-based solutions. My team and I look forward to working with you in the coming weeks and months, and I am personally looking forward to visiting some of the pilot project sites in the very near future. So maraming salamat po, merci beaucoup, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Hartman. Lastly, she was the former president of the National Resilience Council and a member of the United Nations International Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. Additionally, she served on the Science Advisory Board of the Integrated Research on Disaster Risk International Center of Excellence, Taipei, and as a member of the Board of Directors of the UNDRR's Alliance for Disaster Resilient Societies Philippines Initiative. Please welcome the Secretary of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources in the Philippines, Her Honorable Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga.
Sino nakaboto?
Good morning. His Excellency Ambassador David Hartman, Ambassador from Canada, Chairperson Edwina Vichichirena, and the Chair of and the rest of the Board of Trustees of the Forest Foundation Philippines, distinguished guests and partners. Isang makakarikasang araw po sa inyong lahat, and a very warm welcome and congratulations to the Philippine-Canadian Partnership on Nature-Based Solutions for Climate Adaptation. I said it all in one phrase. PCP for NBS. The DNR congratulates the FFP, and of course you all know that we are part of that board as well, and the Government of Canada for this partnership that strengthens the resilience of the Filipino people, especially rural and indigenous women, against the impacts of the interconnected crisis due to the impacts of climate change, the loss of biodiversity, the degradation and diminishing of our green and blue forests, pollution, conflict, and the cascading impacts this may have on the resilience and sustainability of our country. We must recognize that for a climate vulnerable country like the Philippines, while mitigation has been strategic, building capacity for adaptation has been and continues to be both critical and urgent. This is especially important when we consider our ecosystems and the services they deliver as the lifeblood of our communities and the support they give to different sectors in our economy. We also know that gender-based vulnerability is compounded by intersectionalities. Marginalization and multiple social and physical burdens compound the climate risk. When gender intersects conflict, ethnicity, age, literacy, poverty and disability, vulnerability to the impacts of extreme weather and other hazards deepens, thus the importance of this particular initiative. During the 28th Conference of the Parties at the UNFCCC, the Philippine government presented the completion of the National Adaptation Plan. This was deemed very important in terms of defining the scope and magnitude of our needs. In the NAP, the cost of inaction on adaptation within the 2030 decade is estimated to be around 1.4 trillion pesos, about 8% of 2020 GDP. Nature-based solutions are critical to our arsenal and must be rooted in the best available science as well as indigenous and local knowledge. Scaling up is part of the thematic areas that we address in the NAP, and this particular project is well within those areas. We look towards protecting and rehabilitating biodiversity, critical habitats, and ecosystems amidst the climate hazards that they face and the climate vulnerability of communities. Confronting this challenge, the DNR has taken a whole-of-government approach in crafting the new evidence-informed plans on adaptation. And this effort falls very much within that whole-of-government approach. We have also shifted towards building new, non-traditional whole-of-society approaches to solution seeking and giving due respect to all those who are genuinely willing to work with this administration. There is no natural constituency for climate resilience. We need to build it. And that building must be done out of trust and respect between all stakeholders across all sectors. In this context, I'm particularly glad to be part of the launch with FFP and the Canadian government today. As the former president of the National Resilience Council, I was asked to join the FFP's board by our good friend, former Secretary of Finance, Sonny Dominguez. Like Secretary Sonny, I believe then, as I do now, that the FFP's mandate offers a new and innovative opportunity towards socially inclusive, nature-positive, low-carbon, and climate-resilient futures for our country. To institutionalize nature-based solutions, we have already started to, in fact, craft the national policies towards NBS, and we hope for your support in doing this effort. Our development and bilateral partners have also played an important role in biodiversity conservation, climate action, and the fight against plastic pollution. We wish to cite here that we are deeply grateful to the Government of Canada for its generous support through the projects funded by the GEF, or the Global Environment Facility, and for its development assistance to the Philippines, which spans many decades. I would also not be remiss if I were not to acknowledge the support of the Government of the United States and the partnership with USAID. FFP's genesis was built on U.S. support through TFCA. Many of our protected areas and their communities have thrived under this program. I'm pleased to share here that we are formalizing a partnership with FFP that extends beyond this particular program. The partnership will include sharing of knowledge, expertise, and resources for the multidimensional and multidisciplinary work in assessing our protected areas and in applying science and new tools to ensuring ecological integrity. What decades of use, misuse, neglect, and disruption have done cannot be recovered in months. But with honest, respectful, and evidence-informed partnerships like these, we remain undaunted at the DNR. These allow the DNR in this administration to know where to start and what must be done to protect our vast office. That is 30 million hectares of land, 15 million hectares of classified forests, over 7 million hectares of protected areas, 36,000 kilometers of coastline, and 2.2 square kilometers of territorial seas. We therefore look forward to working with the FFP, its partners, and the Government of Canada on PCP for NBS. We are targeting 3 wins: biodiversity conservation, climate change adaptation, gender equality, and the resilience of communities in the context of natural resource management. Thank you very much, and we are very excited to begin a new chapter in our journey to climate resilience together, starting today.
Thank you so much, Secretary Rosana. One thing is very clear to me after our esteemed guests' remarks and welcomes. We're at a critical stage here with climate change, but I feel the commitment, I feel the passion, and just how critical it is that we tackle this from all levels of society. So moving forward with the Philippines-Canada Partnership on Nature-Based Solutions for Climate Adaptation is implemented by the Forest Foundation Philippines in partnership with the Government of Canada from 2024 to 2028. This initiative aims to achieve the 3 wins of biodiversity, conservation, climate adaptation, and gender equality in natural resource management. We can learn more about this partnership by watching this video.
The Philippines is known for its rich biodiversity from ridge to reef, boasting lush forests, coastal and marine habitats, home to diverse native flora and fauna. Yet, amidst this abundance, it faces significant vulnerability to climate change impacts. These treasures are ours not just to enjoy, but more importantly to protect and nurture. Because of the pressure from human activities, we've lost a large part of our forest, grassland, freshwater and marine ecosystems, threatening habitats and livelihoods of local communities and indigenous peoples. That's why from 2024 to 2028, Forest Foundation Philippines, with the support of the Government of Canada, will implement the Philippines-Canada Partnership on Nature-Based Solutions for Climate Adaptation to nurture our natural resources and ecosystems while fostering the resilience of local communities. With a special focus on empowering rural and indigenous women who are greatly impacted by climate change and the loss of biodiversity. Nature-based solutions are cost-effective actions that protect, regenerate, and enhance ecosystems while responding to the needs of the community and safeguarding biodiversity. They will also support communities that are reliant on nature for livelihoods, securing their future while fostering climate resilience. Our efforts will focus on areas with rich biodiversity and high climate vulnerability in Batanes, Camarines Sur, Davao Oriental, Davao de Oro, Negros Occidental, Negros Oriental, and the Calamianes group of islands in Palawan, covering crucial ecosystems from watersheds to coastal and marine areas. To ensure impact, we will partner with local actors and community organizations to support nature-based solutions in climate-vulnerable areas, while ensuring gender-responsive NBS implementation. We will also focus on evidence-based decision-making, platforms for learning exchanges and capacity building, research on the intersections of biodiversity, gender, and climate, and policy and planning recommendations to mainstream NBS for climate adaptation. In our journey towards resilient communities and thriving ecosystems, our program's vision extends beyond picturesque landscapes. Through gender-responsive decision-making and governance, nature-based solutions can enhance biodiversity conservation, climate adaptation, and promote gender equality and natural resource management within our target areas. This not only ensures resilience, but also empowers women as leaders and agents of change. Through their active participation in this program, communities will gain access to innovative solutions that mitigate climate risks, enhance livelihoods, improve water and food security, protect vulnerable groups, and promote sustainable growth for all. Let's grow together through climate action for transformative change.
The success of any partnership requires a solid commitment to shared goals. This watering ceremony officially marks the collaboration and mutual growth of fostering nature-based solutions for the Philippines. A very special tree was chosen for this important occasion, the banaba. The banaba, native to the Philippines, is a powerful symbol of resilience. It thrives in harsh conditions, possesses remarkable medicinal properties, and boasts stunning blooms. While its vibrant flowers would grace any urban landscape, the banaba's true strength lies in its adaptability. Just as the banaba endures, so too will this partnership, fostering solutions that grow stronger in the face of climate challenges. We now request our esteemed officials and partners to symbolically, that didn't want to come out, pour water into the banaba plant to signify the nurturing of the collaborative efforts to achieve and sustain the PCP 4NB's 3 wins of biodiversity conservation, climate adaptation, and gender equality in natural resource management. Our esteemed guests, Please join me on stage here.
Dos muna. Sa baba sila mag-video. Sige, dos muna. Dos muna.
Yeah.
Wala, yeah.
At this time, feel free to water the banapa
Ano
plant.
kuha? Yeah, susunod ako na lang.
Let's give them a round of applause. Please stay for another photo opportunity.
Sige, kahit lang ako. Isa pa, isa pa.
Yeah, we'll try to move up. Okay.
Dos.
And socialize with one another.